Before we begin this story, tell us what time is it where you are and which country are you watching from? Drop it in the comments below. We love seeing how far our stories travel. Let's go. The year was 1994. The air was filled with the sounds of celebration, the vibrant energy of a community gathering, a local festival drawing families and friends together. For one family, however, the joyful atmosphere would abruptly dissolve into a nightmare that would stretch across decades. A young girl, just a teenager on the cusp of adulthood, attended this local event, eager to experience the excitement and camaraderie. She enjoyed the evening, participating in the festivities, making memories under the festive lights. Yet, as the night deepened and the crowds began to thin, she simply vanished without a trace. Her absence was not immediately alarming. Perhaps she was with friends, perhaps she had lingered longer than expected. But as the hours stretched into early morning, a chilling realization began to set in for her family. At their home, a half-eaten slice of cake, left behind from an evening snack, remained on the kitchen counter, a silent testament to an abrupt departure. This mundane detail underscored the suddenness of her disappearance. It was as if she had simply ceased to exist, swallowed by the night. For her family, the initial worry quickly escalated into a frantic terror. The quiet suburban home that had once echoed with laughter now resonated with a desperate silence, punctuated by the parents' panicked calls and growing despair. The community, once celebrating, now found itself shrouded in a palpable worry. An intense, immediate sense of urgency gripped everyone who knew her. A young life, full of promise, had simply disappeared, leaving behind only questions and an unbearable void. The authorities were quickly notified, but even their initial efforts would yield no immediate answers, only deepen the perplexing nature of her vanishing. The initial bewilderment over the young girl's disappearance quickly solidified into a desperate, all-encompassing search. Law enforcement immediately launched an extensive investigation, their efforts focused on every conceivable avenue that might offer a clue. Officers began to canvass the town systematically, moving from house to house, knocking on doors, and speaking with every resident who might have seen something, no matter how small or insignificant it seemed. They meticulously questioned festival attendees, vendors, and anyone who had been in the vicinity during the hours leading up to her vanishing. The hope was that someone, somewhere, had noticed a detail, a fleeting glimpse that could break the baffling silence. Simultaneously, police scoured nearby hospitals, checking emergency rooms and patient admissions, operating under the grim possibility of an accident or an unexpected medical crisis. They contacted every medical facility within a wide radius, describing her appearance, desperately hoping she might turn up injured or disoriented. But each call returned the same disheartening news. No sightings, no clues emerged from the medical network. The lack of any hospital admission only deepened the mystery, adding another layer of confusion to an already perplexing case. Local authorities broadened their efforts, reaching out to transportation hubs, bus stations, and taxi services, considering the possibility that she might have left town willingly or unwillingly. They spoke to anyone who frequented the areas around the festival, hoping to gather fragments of information that could piece together her last known movements. Posters bearing her photograph and a description of her last known clothing began to appear everywhere. On lampposts, in shop windows, at community centers. These flyers, once a symbol of hope, slowly became a visual testament to the passage of time and the agonizing silence that surrounded her absence. Yet, despite these exhaustive efforts, the ground yielded no footprints, the air no echoes of her presence, and the community no definitive answers. The more they searched, the more complete her disappearance seemed to be. For the family, this period was characterized by an ever-deepening despair. The initial shock gave way to a relentless cycle of agonizing hope and crushing disappointment with every unanswered phone call, every dead-end lead. The Millers, a unit once defined by its quiet suburban happiness, now found themselves trapped in a different existence. Their days revolved around communicating with detectives, revisiting the festival grounds, and desperately appealing to the public for any scrap of information. The scenes within their home were marked by a pervasive sorrow. Tearful interviews with local news outlets conveyed their raw anguish, their voices cracking as they pleaded for their daughter's return. Posters plastered everywhere became a constant, painful reminder of her absence, a stark visual representation of their unending torment. The constant tension in the household was palpable, a heavy blanket of grief and uncertainty that settled over every conversation, every moment of silence. As weeks turned into months, the initial frantic energy of the search began to wane, replaced by a grim exhaustion. The community's vibrant worry slowly dimmed into a collective sigh of helplessness, while the family's despair solidified into a permanent fixture of their lives. The exhaustive efforts of the initial investigation, despite their breadth and intensity, ultimately yielded no answers. Every lead was pursued, every possible scenario explored, yet the case of the vanished teenager remained stubbornly unsolved. As weeks bled into months, and months into years, the vibrant flyers plastered across the town began to fade, their edges curling, their colors bleached by the sun. The once urgent police alerts slowly receded from the forefront of local news, replaced by new events, new crises. The active search operations scaled back, eventually ceasing altogether as the trail went cold, leaving behind only an echoing silence where a young life once thrived. For the authorities who had poured their resources and dedication into the case, the transition was difficult. The initial period of intense activity, driven by a desperate hope for a quick resolution, gave way to a grim reality. The case was no longer considered active in the traditional sense. It had become a cold case. This designation carried with it a heavy sense of defeat and regret. Investigators who had worked tirelessly on the disappearance expressed a profound sense of frustration, their determination gradually replaced by a quiet acknowledgement of an unfulfilled mission. They had exhausted every conventional avenue, interviewed every possible witness, and processed every minute piece of evidence. Yet no definitive sightings or concrete clues ever materialized. The case files grew thicker, filled with reports and theories, but none of them led to the missing girl. The passage of time, while it often brings clarity to other mysteries, only deepened the enigma of her vanishing. For the family, the turning of the calendar pages marked not just the passage of time, but the deepening of an immeasurable void. The initial frantic search had evolved into a long, agonizing vigil, a period characterized by a profound emotional shift. The raw anguish of the early days slowly transformed into a pervasive, heavy tone of resignation and heartbreak. Each birthday that passed without her, each holiday celebrated with an empty chair, served as a stark, painful reminder of her absence. The once vibrant hope that fueled their frantic appeals eventually dimmed, replaced by a quiet, persistent grief that became an intrinsic part of their daily lives. The sight of other families celebrating, of other teenagers growing into adulthood, served as a constant, aching counterpoint to their own unending sorrow. They learned to exist with a wound that never healed, carrying the profound loss and the unanswered questions with them through every waking moment. Investigators, years later, would often express their regret over cases like this, acknowledging the enduring pain of families left without closure. The girl was, for all intents and purposes, presumed gone forever. This presumption was not a definitive answer, but a grim acceptance of a reality dictated by the passage of nearly 3 decades without a single verifiable trace. The case became a file in a vault, a name on a list of the disappeared, a haunting statistic in the annals of unsolved mysteries. For the community that had once rallied around the family, the memory of her disappearance softened with time, becoming a whispered tragedy, a distant, unsettling anecdote. Yet, for her family, the coldness of the case was a relentless internal winter, a continuous state of longing and profound uncertainty that closure seemed utterly unreachable. The silence of years became a deafening testament to an unresolved sorrow, an enduring question mark over a life that had simply, inexplicably, ceased to be. The relentless silence had stretched for nearly 3 decades, solidifying the cold case into a testament of unresolved grief. The world had moved on, technology had advanced exponentially, and the very concept of her existence had faded into the realm of painful memory for all but her closest family. The girl was, To all official purposes, a statistic, another unsolved mystery filed away in the archives of lost lives. But the digital age, a realm unimaginable in 1994, was about to unexpectedly cast a faint, almost unbelievable glimmer of light onto a case long shrouded in darkness. Out of the blue, 29 years later, in an era of global connectivity and instantaneous information sharing, a truly improbable event occurred that would shatter the long-held presumption of her fate. A casual viewer, browse a recent live video stream originating from Mexico, noticed something extraordinary in the background of the footage. It was a seemingly ordinary street scene, bustling with activity, but amidst the fleeting faces and moving figures, one individual, glimpsed only briefly, triggered an almost unconscious jolt of recognition. This fleeting image, a pixelated ghost from the past, was shared, analyzed, and reshared by a small but dedicated community of online true crime enthusiasts who often delved into cold cases. The collective power of the internet, a tool non-existent at the time of her disappearance, was about to play a pivotal role in a real-life mystery. The initial reaction among those who saw the clip was a mix of shock and fervent hope. Was it truly her? Could a person vanish for so long and then reappear so serendipitously, in the background of a random live stream, thousands of miles from where they were last seen? The questions ignited a collective suspense that quickly ramped up. For viewers, a palpable sensation took hold, an almost physical response as the incredible possibility began to sink in. Their hearts began to race with a potent cocktail of shock, disbelief, and a surging, cautious hope. The image was replayed countless times, scrutinized frame by frame, zoomed in, enhanced, and shared across various platforms. Each pixel became a subject of intense debate, each shadow a potential clue. The sheer improbability of the sighting made it all the more compelling, turning a simple online video into the improbable key to a decades-old enigma. The very concept of such a rediscovery felt like something out of fiction, yet here it was, playing out in real time across screens around the world. The long-dormant case, once resigned to the cold files, was now experiencing an unexpected, bewildering resurgence, pulled back from the precipice of forgotten history by the most modern of means. The digital age had, against all odds, offered a fragile thread of hope where only despair had previously existed. The online community quickly mobilized, comparing the blurred image from the live stream to old photographs of the missing girl. Side-by-side comparisons began to circulate, sparking intense discussion and cautious optimism. The details were elusive, the quality of the video far from perfect, but a compelling similarity began to emerge. The way her hair fell, the curve of her jawline, even subtle facial expressions seemed to align with the young girl from the 1994 missing persons reports. It was not definitive proof, but it was enough to breathe new life into a case that had long been considered closed by all but the most persistent. The discovery served as a powerful testament to the enduring nature of unresolved mysteries and the unexpected ways that technology can intersect with human tragedy. For nearly 3 decades, her family had lived with the certainty of her absence, a silent wound that never truly healed. The possibility, however remote, that she might still be alive, walking somewhere in the world, was a staggering concept. It challenged every assumption they had made, every moment of grief they had endured, and every quiet resignation they had accepted. The digital footprint of a world transformed since her disappearance had now, impossibly, reached back in time, offering a fragile bridge to a past that everyone believed was sealed forever. The hope, once extinguished, began to flicker, tentative but undeniable, setting the stage for a new, urgent chapter in a story almost 3 decades in the making. The world held its breath, waiting to see if this fleeting digital ghost was indeed the key to unlocking a truth long buried under the weight of time. The fleeting image, captured almost accidentally in the background of a Mexican live stream, ignited a desperate flicker of hope where only the ashes of despair had settled for decades. The initial whispers within online communities quickly escalated into a more focused, intense scrutiny. Dedicated internet users, often described as amateur sleuths, began the painstaking work of evidence gathering. They downloaded the live video, creating countless stills, zooming in, and attempting to clarify the blurry figure glimpsed amidst the distant crowd. Their efforts, though informal, were meticulous. They painstakingly compared photos and footage, placing the pixelated image from 2023 side by side with faded, sepia-toned photographs of the girl taken in 1994. Every angle was considered, every discernible feature analyzed. As these comparisons proliferated online, a truly astonishing pattern began to emerge. Despite the passage of 29 years, the aging process, and the poor quality of the initial video, there was an undeniable, almost uncanny resemblance. The shape of the nose, the distinct set of the eyes, the subtle curve of the lips, even the way the individual carried herself, all resonated with the girl who had vanished. It wasn't just a generic similarity. It was a compelling confluence of recognizable facial features, familiar details that defied coincidence. The longer one looked, the more the features aligned, creating a mounting sense of a stunning possibility. This phase of verification became a suspenseful build, drawing in more professional eyes. As the online discussions gained traction, experts in facial recognition and forensic analysis became involved, albeit unofficially at first. They employed more sophisticated techniques, using specialized software to enhance image clarity, adjust for lighting variations, and perform biometric measurements. The question hung heavy in the air, creating an almost unbearable tension. Was it really her? Could a person be effectively resurrected from the depths of a cold case by a chance digital encounter? Each analysis, each subtle confirmation of a familiar feature, tightened the knot of anticipation. Multiple replays, scrutinized frame by frame, became common practice as they meticulously searched for any definitive proof or disproof of the incredible claim. This period was marked by an overwhelming sense of tension, anticipation, and cautious hope. No one dared to fully believe, yet no one could deny the burgeoning possibility. The professional experts, while maintaining scientific rigor, admitted to a palpable sense of excitement, an almost unprecedented challenge in their careers. The digital age, with its ubiquitous cameras and instant global dissemination, had presented a truly unique scenario, potentially providing a breakthrough that traditional investigative methods had been unable to yield for almost 3 decades. The world watched, fascinated, as a long-lost past threatened to converge with an impossible present. The moment of revelation for the family was a profound, multi-layered emotional peak. After enduring 29 years of an unbearable void, of silent anniversaries and the gradual fading of hope, they were presented with the grainy images from the live stream. The initial reaction was a chaotic mix of raw emotion. Tears flowed freely, not just of sorrow, but of a sudden, overwhelming joy that had seemed forever out of reach. Yet, interwoven with this elation was a deep-seated confusion. How could this be possible? Where had she been? What had she endured? The flood of questions was as intense as the surge of renewed hope. They saw their daughter, aged but undeniably present, a ghost from their past now shockingly rendered in living color. Her parents held each other, clutching at the fragile evidence. Their lives upended once more, but this time by an impossible gift of potential reunion. The image sparked a reawakening of memories, both cherished and painful, triggering an intense, almost unbearable emotional release after nearly 3 decades of stoic grief. The public reaction mirrored the family's intense emotional roller coaster. News outlets, quick to pick up on the astonishing story, disseminated the images and the unfolding mystery across the globe. The narrative, so deeply human and improbable, resonated with audiences everywhere. Social media buzzed with speculation, theories, and expressions of empathy for the family. The global attention created an immediate, immense pressure on law enforcement to act. And act they did. The police, who had long since filed the case away as an unsolvable cold file, immediately jumped back in. The long-dormant investigation was reactivated with unprecedented urgency. A new team was assembled, leveraging modern forensic techniques and international cooperation that were unimaginable in 1994. The first crucial steps involved confirming identity with absolute certainty. Plans were quickly put in motion for DNA tests, seeking a definitive biological match that could put an end to any lingering doubt. investigators began meticulously tracing travel histories, both for the individual in the livestream and for anyone connected to the original disappearance. This involved extensive archival research and interviews with old contacts, attempting to bridge the vast chronological gap. The new investigation demanded intricate international search coordination. Liaisons were established with Mexican authorities, a critical step given the origin of the livestream and the potential location of the individual. This required navigating complex legal and diplomatic channels, ensuring that any actions taken were within international law and respected local sovereignty. Teams prepared to travel, equipped with the latest investigative tools, ready to follow the faintest lead that could bring this decades-old mystery to a resolution. The quiet suburban cold case had exploded into a global pursuit, a testament to the enduring power of human connection and the unexpected reach of digital technology. The hope was real, but the path to a definitive answer and a possible reunion remained fraught with challenges, uncertainty, and the lingering shadow of nearly 30 years of unanswered questions. The emotional storm that swept through the family upon seeing the livestream clip was profound. For nearly 3 decades, their grief had been a private, heavy burden, a silent acknowledgement of a life presumed lost. Now, this unexpected flicker of recognition, a digital ghost from the past, had reignited a potent mix of emotions. Overwhelming joy at the possibility, profound confusion at the circumstances, and a terrifying resurgence of hope intertwined with the familiar ache of fear. They held onto the images, scrutinizing every pixel, desperately searching for definitive confirmation of their deepest desire. Their world, long settled in the quiet resignation of loss, was violently reawakened, leaving them adrift in a sea of questions they never expected to ask again. The incredible story quickly cascaded beyond the quiet confines of online forums and into the mainstream. News outlets, sensing the extraordinary nature of the development, disseminated the images and the unfolding mystery across the globe. The narrative, so deeply human and improbably miraculous, resonated with audiences everywhere, sparking a wildfire of discussion and speculation. Social media platforms buzzed with theories, expressions of empathy for the family, and calls for immediate action. This global attention, while bringing immense pressure, also provided crucial momentum, compelling authorities to respond with unprecedented urgency to a case long considered cold. For law enforcement, the reactivated investigation presented a unique set of challenges. A cold case, especially one nearing 3 decades in dormancy, requires a complete reevaluation, not just of old evidence but of investigative methodologies. A new team was immediately assembled, comprising seasoned cold case detectives, forensic specialists, and experts in digital evidence. Their first priority was absolute identification. Protocols for DNA tests were rapidly put in motion, aiming to obtain samples from the individual in the livestream for comparison with the family's genetic material. This required navigating complex legal frameworks, potentially involving international warrants and judicial cooperation, as the individual was believed to be in Mexico. Beyond DNA, investigators began an exhaustive reconstruction of the missing girl's life in 1994, seeking any overlooked detail that might now make sense in light of the new sighting. They also meticulously worked to trace the travel history of the individual in the livestream, attempting to determine how and when she might have arrived in Mexico and under what circumstances. This involved coordinating with travel agencies, immigration authorities, and historical records, trying to bridge a vast, near 3-decade gap in time and geography. The challenges were immense. Faded memories, defunct businesses, and the sheer volume of data, or lack thereof, from a pre-internet era. The police understood that every step had to be precise, every piece of evidence unequivocally verified, to avoid compounding the family's agony with false hope. The international aspect added another layer of complexity. An international search coordination effort was initiated, requiring direct liaison with Mexican authorities. This involved diplomatic channels, mutual legal assistance treaties, and navigating different legal systems and investigative practices. Building trust and ensuring seamless cooperation across borders became paramount. Mexican law enforcement would need to be involved in any attempts to locate and approach the individual, respecting local sovereignty and legal processes. This painstaking collaboration, often slow and deliberate, stood in stark contrast to the urgency felt by the family and the clamor of global media. Yet, it was a necessary component of pursuing justice and answers in such an extraordinary case. Teams prepared for deployment, armed with the latest investigative tools, ready to follow the faint but tantalizing lead across geographical and chronological divides. As the investigation advanced, the public remained captivated, hungering for every update. The story became a global phenomenon, a powerful testament to the enduring mystery of human disappearance and the unexpected ways technology can intersect with human tragedy. Online communities continued to analyze, discuss, and offer support, demonstrating the collective power of citizen engagement in solving long-standing puzzles. Yet, with every piece of information released, the tension mounted. Was the individual truly the missing girl? So, what was her story? What had she endured? The answers, so desperately sought, remained elusive, unfolding slowly under the weight of decades of silence. The true resolution to this decades-old mystery, however, remained just beyond the reach of the cameras, leaving the audience and the family in a state of gripping anticipation. This narrative concludes without a definitive answer, deliberately leaving the ultimate fate of the girl unresolved. Her journey from a seemingly ordinary suburban home in 1994 to a fleeting glimpse in a Mexican live stream 29 years later embodies the profound uncertainty that often defines true crime. It is a story designed to underscore the enduring nature of unresolved disappearances, the unyielding power of hope, and the agonizing void of the unknown. The individual in the live stream remains a figure suspended between two worlds, the missing girl of the past and the woman in the present, her identity caught in the fragile balance of a single image. This open-ended finale serves a crucial purpose. It keeps the audience emotionally invested, their minds perpetually turning over the possibilities, their hearts racing with continued hope for the family. It encourages viewers to actively follow updates as the investigation continues, transforming passive observers into engaged participants in the unfolding story. It fuels speculation, sparking countless discussions about what might have happened during those missing decades, and what a reunion, if it occurs, might entail. It is a narrative choice that reflects the very real, very human experience of living with unanswered questions, of grappling with an unresolved past that continues to cast a long shadow over the present. The story of the girl who vanished in 1994, only to reappear as a fleeting image in a digital stream nearly 3 decades later, is a potent reminder of the human spirit's resilience and the unexpected ways that fate can unfold. It is a testament to how profoundly a single individual's life can impact countless others, even across vast distances and spans of time. The power of technology, particularly the ubiquity of cameras and the instantaneous nature of global communication, has fundamentally changed the landscape of cold cases. What was once lost to time and forgotten by all but a grieving family can now, incredibly, resurface from the digital ether, offering a new chance at discovery, at truth, and perhaps, at a long-awaited reunion. This unique case highlights how the modern world, for all its complexities, can sometimes provide the most extraordinary avenues for justice and closure. The narrative leaves us with a lingering sense of possibility, a poignant reflection on the lives irrevocably changed by a moment in 1994, and the unexpected turn of events in the modern era. We are left to ponder the years that stretched between her disappearance and her reemergence, a blank canvas upon which the imagination can only paint the myriad possibilities of human experience, both harrowing and hopeful. The investigation continues, the search for definitive answers presses on, and the world waits with bated breath for the next chapter in this remarkable, ongoing mystery. The story is not over. It is still unfolding, a stark reminder that some chapters of life are only slowly, painstakingly revealed.
Thank you for watching. Like, share, and subscribe for more.